Most people don't live. They are lived. Their minds are occupied territory, a city without walls, a house without doors. Any thought walks in. Any fear sits on the couch. Any trauma sleeps in the bed. You think you're thinking, but in reality, you're being thought. Your mind is loose like a starving animal in an emotional dump, and then you wonder why your life smells like failure, scarcity, and repetition. The dog comes back with trash because that's what you allowed it to eat. There is no mental neutrality. Either you govern your mind, or someone governs it for you. And here's the shock no one has the courage to tell you. You are not a victim of the devil, the government, or the economy. You are an accomplice to your own mental prison. Every thought you accept without questioning is a vote. Every image you feed is a silent prayer. Every repeated fear is a decree signed against yourself. You're not just worried. You are training your mind to create the hell you later call destiny. And while you pray asking for open doors, your imagination, a divine gift, is manufacturing exactly the opposite of what you say you want. This is not poetry. This is law. The Bible never treated the mind as something delicate. It treats it as a battlefield. To take every thought captive is not devotional language. It's military language. It's invasion. It's domination. If you don't kidnap your own thoughts, they kidnap your future. And now I'll ask you a question that's going to hurt. Who is in command of your mind when you're not paying attention? Enough self-deception. The world is not what's holding you back. The economy is not what keeps you trapped. The government is not the villain of your story. Your family is not the reason for your failure. And the devil, by himself, does not have enough power to destroy your destiny. The truth is harsher, and that's why it sets you free. What traps you is what you allow to live in your mind. You learn to blame the outside because taking control of your own mind is scary. It's more comfortable to say, it didn't work because of that, than to admit, I let my mind become a mess. As long as you keep pointing outward, you'll stay stuck inward. The enemy is not outside. He's already running things inside. There is a lie very well taught within Christian circles, that being humble means shrinking yourself, that being spiritual means accepting little, that faith is waiting for everything to fall from the sky. That is not faith. That is fear disguised as spirituality. You're not waiting on God at all. You're using God as an excuse to avoid taking risks. The Bible never teaches this. Never. From the beginning, humanity's problem was never the environment. It was the mind. Adam fell before touching the fruit. He fell when he accepted a wrong thought. Eve didn't sin with her hand first. She sinned when she began to consider the idea. Everything begins with mental permission. You can pray, fast, work, serve, study, and still remain stuck if your mind keeps thinking small. Because God does not raise up people who behave like victims. And here's the sentence that's going to hurt. If your life isn't moving forward, it's because your mind still agrees with the prison. No one stays stuck for years without, on some level, accepting that situation as normal. The people left Egypt in one day, but Egypt took 40 years to leave their minds. They had a promise. They had miracles every day. They had food falling from the sky. And yet they complained. And yet they were afraid. And yet they wanted to go back. Because freedom requires a strong mind. Slavery only requires habit. And God was clear. Those who think like slaves do not enter a king's land. It wasn't the desert that killed that generation. It was their mindset. Every time you say, this isn't for me, I'm not that type of person, this is for others, God doesn't do that for me, you are placing a limit on your own life. The devil doesn't even need to attack when you're already limiting yourself. He just watches. Because a mind that doesn't take control sabotages itself without help. And here is the final point of this blame inversion. Either you take responsibility today for what you think, or you will keep blaming the world and living the same year on repeat. The war is not against people. It's not against systems. It's not against lack of opportunity. The war is against the fear you accept, the distraction you feed, and the small life you tolerate. As long as you insist the problem is outside, you will keep asking for rescue. When you understand the problem is inside, you begin to command. And those who command do not ask permission. They assume authority. There is an enemy you were never taught to identify, because he makes no noise, doesn't appear in dreams, doesn't break doors, and doesn't shout. He doesn't need to. He works silently, in the dark, inside your head. The greatest enemy of your destiny is not a person, not a visible demon, not a lack of money. It is the wrong thought you accept as if it were your own. Thoughts are not neutral. They are orders in disguise. Every time a thought enters your mind and you don't question it, you are signing a silent agreement. You are saying, okay, you can stay. And whatever stays too long creates roots. Fear doesn't arrive screaming. It arrives whispering. What if it doesn't work? What if you embarrass yourself? What if you lose everything? These phrases sound like prudence, but they are pure sabotage. Napoleon Hill discovered this by studying the richest and most successful men in the world. He called it control of attention. The winners had one thing in common. They did not let their minds wander freely. They chose what to think about. They decided where to place their focus. They understood that attention is power. Whoever controls your attention controls your life. Hill also identified fear as the greatest enemy of success. Not logical fear, which prevents accidents, but imaginary fear, which paralyzes before action. Fear of failure, fear of making mistakes, fear of growth, fear of being seen. The Bible calls this a double-minded mind. James says that a double-minded person is unstable in all their ways. Not unstable in some areas, in all of them. They start excited and stop halfway. They pray with faith and then complain. They decide to move forward and soon retreat. A divided mind is the perfect field for failure. You want to prosper, but you think like someone who's going to lose. You want to win, but you imagine defeat. You want change, but you talk to fear every day. This is not bad luck. It is programming. The invisible enemy works like this. He creates nothing. He only suggests. If you accept the suggestion, your own mind does the rest of the work. The Bible reveals this from the beginning. The serpent didn't push Eve. It only asked a question. Did God really say that? It was enough to plant doubt. Doubt became dialogue. Dialogue became decision. Decision became the fall. Nothing has changed since then. Fear, doubt, and distraction are the three main tools of this invisible enemy. Fear paralyzes you. Doubt divides you. Distraction weakens you. Napoleon Hill would call this a lack of a definite purpose. The Bible calls it a lack of vision. Where there is no vision, the people perish. You don't get lost because you lack a promise. You get lost because you lose focus. And focus is not mystical. It is daily discipline. The media, the news, negative conversations, the environment around you. All of this is a constant attack on your attention. This is no accident. A distracted mind is a weak mind, and a weak mind is easy to dominate. You think you're just tired, but in reality, you are mentally scattered. And a scattered mind never builds anything great. The Bible commands, guard your heart. It is not a suggestion. It is an order, because the heart, in biblical language, is the center of thought, decision, and will. If you do not guard it, someone invades. If you do not choose, someone chooses for you. The invisible enemy does not need to destroy you. He only needs to keep your mind busy with what doesn't matter. Because those who live reacting do not rule. Those who live distracted do not conquer. And here's the revelation that changes everything. The war you feel in life is a reflection of the war you lost in your mind. But this doesn't end here. Because now that you see the enemy, you need the authority to face him. And that is what comes next. There is a law that governs winners in every era of history. It was not born with modern coaches, did not come from motivational speeches, and was not created by institutional religion. It is older than all of that. It is a spiritual and mental law that operates whether you believe in it or not. Napoleon Hill did not invent this law. He only observed it. After studying for more than 20 years the richest, most influential, and most powerful men in the world, Hill reached the same conclusion again and again. Nothing changes in a person's life until the mind changes first. He called this burning desire. Not a weak desire, not a passing wish. A burning desire is when an idea occupies the mind, dominates attention, and begins to command actions almost effortlessly. It's when the goal becomes an obsession. It's when a person stops negotiating with fear. Hill was blunt. People fail because they want to win the way they want a weekend break. Winners want to win the way they need air to breathe. Now look at the Bible. Proverbs 23:7 says, "As a man thinks in his soul, so is he." It does not say, "so he will be someday." It says, "so he is." In other words, identity comes before results. The mind comes before matter. Hill called this the dominant mental image. The Bible calls it the heart. It's the same command center, the place where decisions are made before they turn into actions. Another law Hill identified was faith, not as religion, but as unshakable inner conviction. He stated that faith is the mental state that transforms thought into reality. The Bible says the exact same thing in Hebrews 11:1. Faith is the certainty of things hoped for, the conviction of things not seen. Certainty before evidence, conviction before results. There is no passive faith. Faith is a mental position. Hill also taught persistence as a decisive factor. He said most people quit when they are just a few steps from victory because they interpret delay as failure. The Bible calls this the testing of faith. James says that perseverance produces complete maturity. It does not say it produces comfort. It produces strength. It produces inner structure. And now the point that ties everything together. Napoleon Hill talked about mind control. The Bible talks about taking every thought captive. Hill said the subconscious accepts repeated orders charged with emotion. God commanded meditation on the word day and night. Hill said the mind must be reprogrammed. Paul called this the renewal of the mind. 2 books, 2 authors, 1 single law. The law is simple and brutal. The mind obeys what you repeat with faith, emotion, and consistency. There is no neutrality. Either you program it, or you will be programmed. The Bible is not a fragile devotional book. It is a manual for internal government. It was not written to comfort you. It was written to train you, to train your mind, to train your mouth, to train your posture. Napoleon Hill saw the effects of this law in the material world. The Bible reveals the spiritual origin of this law. What Hill called success, the Bible calls prospering one's way. What Hill called failure, the Bible calls the carnal mind. What Hill called mastermind, Jesus called agreement. They are not different concepts, they are different levels of the same truth. And now that you understand you're not dealing with theory but with an active law, you need to see it working in practice. Because the Bible does not ask you to believe, it commands you to look at the results. And that is exactly what we are about to do. The Bible was not written to inspire. It was written to prove. To prove that before any external change, there is always an internal decision. And one of the clearest stories about this is David versus Goliath. Everyone knows the scene, but almost no one understands what really happened there. Goliath was not just a physical giant. He was a mental giant. For 40 days he did not attack anyone. He only spoke. The Bible says he taunted the army of Israel morning and evening. Daily repetition. He was doing exactly what Napoleon Hill called mental programming through emotional repetition. And it worked. The entire army was paralyzed, trained, armed, numerous, but dominated by fear. Now observe David. David did not enter that story physically bigger. He entered thinking differently. While everyone else saw an impossible giant to defeat, David saw a man too big to miss with a stone. This is not natural courage. This is a dominant mental image. David did not ask, "What if I lose?" He asked, "Who is this who defies?" Notice the difference. Whoever asks the question controls the situation. David had already defeated Goliath in his mind before stepping onto the field. That's why he refused Saul's armor. That armor represented other people's mentality. Heavy, defensive, insecure. He didn't need protection, he needed clarity. Napoleon Hill taught that a focused mind does not negotiate with doubt. The Bible shows David doing exactly that. And here's the point almost no one teaches. David spoke before he acted. "Today the Lord will deliver you into my hands." He declared the outcome before the fight. This is not arrogance. This is mental alignment with the outcome. Hill called this a definite statement of purpose. The Bible calls it a prophetic word. The mouth was not describing reality. It was creating direction. Goliath died in the body after he lost in the mind. Because whoever loses mental dominion loses the physical field. Now think about Moses. Before the Red Sea opened, the people had already decided to die. They said, "It would have been better to stay in Egypt." In other words, a slave mentality. Even with a free body, God did not open the sea while the mind was still negotiating with Egypt. Only when Moses moved forward did the path appear. The Bible makes it clear, the path is not revealed to those who wait. It is revealed to those who move. Napoleon Hill called this organized action. The Bible calls it faith in motion. Another quick example, Joshua. God said, "Every place the sole of your foot treads, I will give you." He did not say, "Where you pray." He said, "Where you step." Mindset precedes possession. Possession follows decision. These stories are not beautiful metaphors. They are laws in operation. Fear always speaks first. Faith responds louder. The one who wins is not the strongest. It is the one who decides not to negotiate with doubt. And now you need to understand something crucial. If this law worked for David, Moses, and Joshua, it does not fail with you. The problem was never a lack of promise. It was an excess of internal negotiation. And that is exactly what we are going to break in the next block. Most people do not lose because they are weak. They lose because they negotiate too much. They negotiate with fear. They negotiate with exhaustion. They negotiate with thoughts that should never have a vote. This is the invisible battle Napoleon Hill tried to warn about, and the Bible exposes without restraint. The war is not against the world, it is against the divided mind. Every time you say, "I would even try," but the war has already been lost. That "but" is where fear hides. The Bible calls this a double mind. James says that the double-minded person is unstable in everything. Not in some areas, in everything. Napoleon Hill said the same thing in different words. A mind that accepts doubt cannot sustain a burning desire. You don't need more strength. You need to stop arguing with weak thoughts. And here is the common mistake. People think thinking is neutral. It is not. Thought is an order. Thought is a command. Repeated thought becomes belief. Hill taught that the subconscious does not question, it accepts. The Bible says you become a slave to whatever you obey. In other words, every time you agree with fear, you hand over authority. And no one notices when this happens. It doesn't hurt. It makes no noise. It's silent. One day you wake up and call personality what began as a concession. You call realism what is disguised surrender. This is internal negotiation. David did not negotiate. Joshua did not negotiate. Jesus did not negotiate in the wilderness. When the devil spoke, Jesus responded with law, not emotion. It is written. 3 words. End of conversation. Napoleon Hill taught that a strong mind has ready answers for recurring doubts. The Bible shows Jesus doing exactly that. He did not argue. He did not explain. He did not philosophize. He ended it. Most people lose because they turn temptation into debate. They turn fear into analysis. They turn obedience into, "I'll think about it." And while they think, time passes. And while time passes, the mind cools. And when the mind cools, desire dies. Hill called this a lack of persistence. The Bible calls it a lack of firmness. Now understand this with brutal clarity. God does not guide indecisive people, not because he doesn't want to, but because indecision blocks direction. There is no clear direction for someone who keeps changing their mind. Internal negotiation is the altar where dreams are sacrificed in the name of momentary comfort. And here is the truth few accept. You don't need to cast out bad thoughts. You need to stop listening. Thoughts do not command. The one who commands is the one who agrees. When you cut off negotiation, fear loses its voice. When you cut off negotiation, faith gains ground. And that is exactly what we are going to build now. Now you will learn how to take control of the mind in a practical way, without mysticism and without pretty phrases. Method, posture, discipline. The mind was not made to vote. It was made to obey. If you do not take command, it will follow the easiest path. Fear, distraction, and repetition of the past. This is not a character flaw. It is a lack of governance. Napoleon Hill was clear. The human mind works through auto-suggestion. It accepts repeated orders charged with emotion. It does not accept weak requests. It accepts firm commands. The Bible confirms this directly. Life and death are in the power of the tongue. It does not say they are in feelings. It does not say they are in intention. It says they are in speech. Taking command of the mind begins with the mouth. You do not speak what you feel. You speak what you have decided. Jesus never said, "I'm afraid, but let's see how it goes." He said, "Rise and walk." Command, direction, movement. Now let's go to the practical method, simple and direct. 1. Cut off weak internal dialogue. A bad thought is not debated. It is shut down. When it arises, it's not going to work. The response is short. Silence. This is not spiritual rudeness. It is authority. Napoleon Hill called this control of negative thinking. The Bible calls it taking thoughts captive. 2. Declare before you feel. Waiting to feel confident is a mistake. Confidence comes after declaration, not before. David spoke before the fight. Abraham called into existence what did not yet exist. Speech aligns the mind with the target. 3. Repeat until it becomes a pattern. An order given once is weak. An order repeated becomes internal law. Hill insisted on daily repetition with emotion. God commanded meditation day and night. This is not poetry. It is programming. 4. Cut off weakening environments. Environment does not inspire. It pulls. Those who walk with doubt learn to doubt. Those who walk with fear learn to hide. Hill called this a mastermind. The Bible calls it fellowship. 5. Act even with discomfort. The mind respects those who act. It ignores those who only plan. Action creates evidence, and evidence strengthens conviction. You don't need to feel like it. You need to obey the decision. Command is not emotion. Command is posture. When you take this position, something changes. The internal noise decreases. Focus increases. Doubt loses ground. And here is the final truth of this block. God does not anoint intention. God anoints positioning. Napoleon Hill proved this in the material world. The Bible revealed it in the spiritual world. Both agree on one thing. Those who do not govern their own mind will be governed by circumstances. We will close this war by showing how to sustain this command over time, without relapses and without returning to old patterns. No one loses control of the mind all at once. They lose it gradually. One day you relax. The next day you negotiate. When you realize it, you're back to the old pattern. That's why both the Bible and Napoleon Hill agree on one central point. Discipline is not an event. It is a system. Hill said failure begins when a person stops doing the basics they already know work. It is not ignorance. It is relaxation. The Bible calls this vigilance. Watch and pray, not because the devil is strong, but because the mind is vulnerable when it is left loose. Here are the pillars for not losing command. 1. Fixed routine of mental governance. You govern the mind every day, not only when you're struggling. Declaration, reading, repetition, not by emotion, by decision. Hill advocated daily affirmations. God commanded remembering the law when waking, when walking, and when lying down. Whoever does not reinforce, weakens. 2. Stop romanticizing relapse. Relapse is not learning. It is a break in command. You don't negotiate with it. You correct it quickly. No prolonged guilt. No spiritual drama. Fell? Get up and retake control. 3. Results are the thermometer. If nothing changes outside, something is wrong inside. The Bible says faith without works is dead. Hill said thought without action is fantasy. Results do not lie. 4. Protect what comes in. Everything enters through the mind. Ears, eyes, conversations, environment. You don't pray to be strong and then feed on doubt all day long. That is not spirituality. It is inconsistency. 5. Have someone who confronts you. Isolation weakens. Hill called it a mastermind. The Bible calls it exhortation. People who pat your head keep you small. People who confront you keep you awake. Now the final truth. You will not win this war by being motivated. You win by being disciplined. Motivation fluctuates. Discipline sustains. The Bible never promised ease. It promised dominion. Napoleon Hill never promised luck. He promised method. And both deliver the same key. Whoever governs the mind governs destiny. If you made it this far, it's no longer ignorance. It's choice. There comes a point when learning more becomes an excuse. You already understand. Now it's positioning. No one will take control of your mind for you. Not even God. This is not abandonment. It is government. From the beginning, the Bible made it clear. Dominion was given to man. What you do not govern, someone governs for you. Fear, the past, the environment, or other people's opinions. Napoleon Hill discovered this by observing results. The Bible revealed it by establishing authority. Both point to the same dividing line. Either you decide or you react. There is no middle ground. Neutrality is a disguised decision. You can keep calling fear prudence. You can keep calling distraction rest. You can keep calling procrastination waiting for the right time. But the price comes. Life does not respond to intentions. It responds to clear commands. David did not receive courage after entering the fight. He entered because he had already decided to win. Joshua did not wait for the Jordan to open before stepping. He stepped, and the path responded. Jesus did not ask if it was possible. He commanded. This is not spiritual arrogance, it is alignment with authority. Now understand this without softening it. You don't need more revelation. You need less internal negotiation. Everything you call a blockage today is, in practice, a limit you agreed to keep. The mind believes what you repeat. The body follows what the mind believes. Life responds to what the body does. This cycle never fails. So the decision is simple, but not comfortable. Either you take command of your mind every day, or you accept living under the command of circumstances. There is no third option. The good news? You don't need to change everything. You need to change who is in charge. It starts today. It starts now. It starts with one simple, firm command. Enough. I take control. No emotion, no audience, no announcement, only governance. And when you change your internal position, the external world begins to align, not because it becomes easy, but because direction now exists. End of negotiation. Beginning of command.